you're listening to Truth Brigade Radio. You can find out more about Truth Brigade Radio at www.truthbrigade.com as well as www.truthbrigade.org. I am your co-host, Eric Gallagher. I am the Red Yankee, along with Christie Chikowski, a.k.a. Psycho Babe. This is Truth Brigade Radio, and tonight we have a very, very special guest. Tonight we have Dan Willis of the UFO Disclosure Project.
Just to keep it brief, he is one of the 20 top secret military witnesses, and there were over 450 to my understanding, that testified in front of Congress about their knowledge of the UFOs, and they've been working hard to get this in mainstream media and basically in the public attention, which they thought this would happen in 2001, but of course they just brushed everything under the rug as usual. You know, anyone out there streaming, please go check out. He has videos, audios, everything posted. You can go to myspace.com, Disclosure Witness 6, and that's the number 6, to check him out. So, Dan, are you here with us?
I am, Christie. Good to be on the show.
Okay. Thanks so much for being here tonight. You had top secret security clearance. So you had to basically make an oath to not, tell any secrets or basically give up your freedom of speech in the interest of national security. Is that right?
Yeah, well, in the military, when you go in, you do an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic. And I felt it my patriotic duty, to break my oath and go to Washington, to testify.
Okay, and how long did you serve in the military, and what was your experience to even come close to what we're talking about here tonight?
Okay, I just want to say there was over 500 military and intelligence witnesses that this is all based on. Everything I'm going to speak about on the show tonight is based on the facts, based on these witnesses and their supportive documentation. Of those 500, 20 of them were crazy enough, you could say, to go before all the major media at the National Press Club on May 9th, 2001, to what was called the Disclosure Project, headed by Dr. Stephen Greer. And I had one of the, in my opinion, one of the least significant testimonies compared to the other ones that were talking about, extraterrestrial bases on the other side of the moon, 57 different species been categorized in retrieval cases, nuclear launch, missiles being shut down, on and on and on. Very explosive testimony. It's interesting, Christie. When I, before I went to Washington, I, briefed myself on a lot of the testimonies and of all these, many of these witnesses, and I'm not anybody special than anybody else listening out there. Anybody could go in and read the documentation and see for themselves that the subject's not a conspiracy theory. This is based on factual evidence of very credible witnesses. Admirals, astronauts, generals. The night before I went to Washington, I was thinking, oh my God, it's like, this is really explosive testimony. We're all willing to testify under oath before Congress. We're seeking a congressional hearing. And we're going to go in front of, there was 22 cameras in the back row, all the major networks. And each one of us is coming up and giving our testimony of our military experience, what positions we held, and that we're willing to testify under oath before Congress. And the entire testimony paints a picture of operations that have basically have lost control in our normal legal government, and we have proof of that from 2 administrations, and that we have the technologies in these black projects that can end in energy and environmental crisis. And all this was disclosed, and I was just wondering, my God, how are they going to keep all these major media cameras from not hearing all this, because if the whole public and Congress was to hear this whole story, my God, this is going to change everything. It's going to change the whole paradigm of how we operate on this planet. So the night before I went to Washington, I was like, you can imagine, tossing and turning. I had this dream that, each one of us gave our testimony, and then they had or you're going to call a black operative, whatever, come up and they discredit each one of us, said, oh, this is a top secret government project, has nothing to do with extraterrestrial and this and that, and they just discredited the whole thing. But nothing like that had to happen, because after we did the whole, it was like an hour and a half, and the whole place was packed, and the cameramen in the back were cheering, and what happened was the media took it from there, and you can imagine the average Joe out there sitting back with a beer, on the couch watching CNN, the news you can trust, is like he's trying to make the bills right and trying to survive, and let's spend taxpayers' money. Is what the media was saying, is that they wanted to have a congressional hearing based on whether or not UFOs were real, which doesn't impact anybody's lives. But what we were talking about would have the most incredible change over the entire world if the full message got disclosed, and if we were able to have congressional hearings and bring all this technology out and basically disclose the whole truth about this subject that's been hidden for over 50 years.
Wow. How did you get involved in it? I mean, to begin with, what was your job in the Navy?
Oh, okay. I was in communications. I was in charge of the code room at Naval Communication Station in San Francisco. And back in 1969, I was just a little kid, right? I was a high-speed code operator. And the ship-to-shore communication, they usually use, if other communications like the teletype and satellite are not coming through, they use code, to get through. And it's very unusual to get a secret level communication. I had a priority secret level communication coming from a USNS ship it's a military supply ship off of the coast of Alaska. The crew witnessed off of port bow of the ship, coming out of the ocean, this reddish orange glowing elliptical, saucer basically, coming out of the ocean. The crew witnessed that visually, and then it shot into space, and the radar operator on the ship, it caught the blip and calculated it going over 7,000 miles per hour, and then went to Chief of Naval Operations, and years later I worked at the Naval Electronic Engineering Center for 13 years, and my coworker, worked at the NORAD facility, and they saw, things going off the scale, but, that not my first-hand witness.
Now, where was this at, excuse me, where was this at, say, that you saw this?
I was taking a message from a ship at the Naval Communication Station in San Francisco.
Okay. And where was the ship? Where was the communique from? Where it's a?
It was off the coast of Alaska.
Okay.
So my testimony was like this: a tiny little fragment puzzle, insignificant compared to the real explosive testimonies, these other witnesses. I went there because I heard what they were going to do. I knew there was something to this, and I've been kind of following the subject for many years. And a friend wanted to go to a UFO conference thing, and I was kind of really resistant. I was like, the same old stuff. I don't want to hear about it, And so I was there at a cocktail party holding some hors d'oeuvres, and I heard what he was going to do, Dr. Greer, go to Washington and disclose this. I thought, oh, my God, this is incredible. Finally, somebody has the balls, to go forward and do something, And so there was something happened where some of the witnesses weren't able to make it, and so there was an opening there. I said, well, if it's appropriate, my small testimony, I'll be willing to go there and fill in and support. And so I'm just, I guess, one of the more vocal activist, after going there, because I was a broadcast engineer for many years, and I was an ABC newsman, So I took a very keen interest on what was happening with the media, on what was being disclosed and what was being reported.
Tell us a little bit about your background with ABC News. What job capacity were you in, and what were your dates of employment there?
Oh, sure. I was the broadcast engineer for KITT, K-I-T-T, 105.3 FM in San Diego. That was, at the time, the most powerful FM station on the West Coast. And, all I did was the sports announcement and stuff like that, and just read the news off the teletype, AP and UPI teletype. Nothing, not like a major television network anchorman or anything like that. Very insignificant.